Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Guru Hari Bol, Jai Guru Hari Bol, Jai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Guru Premanande Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. So, if I'm not mistaken, today we're hearing from 13. Is that right? Yes. Karma Pramud Bhavam Vidhi Brahmakshara Samud Bhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yagye Pratistitam. And this verse says, regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas. And the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yajnartat karma, or the necessity of work for the satisfaction of Krishna only, is more expressly stated in this verse. If we have to work for the satisfaction of the Yajna Purusha, meaning Vishnu, then we must find out the direction of work in Brahman, or the transcendental Vedas. The Vedas are therefore Codes of working directions. Anything performed without the direction of the Vedas is called vikarma, or unauthorized or sinful work. Therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reaction of work. As one has to work in ordinary life by the direction of the state, one similarly has to work under the direction of the supreme state of the Lord. Such directions in the Vedas are directly manifest from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of God. It is said, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishvasitam Etad Yad Rig Vedo Yajur Vedaha Samavedo Athar Vangirasa. The four Vedas, namely the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, and the Atharva Veda, are the emanations from the breathing of the great personality of God. Brihad Aranyakya Upanishad 4.5.11. The Lord, being omnipotent, can speak by breathing air. For as it is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, the Lord has the omnipotence to perform through each of his senses the actions of all other senses. In other words, the Lord can speak through his breathing, and he can impregnate by his eyes. In fact, it is said that he glanced over material nature and thus fathered all living entities. After creating or impregnating the conditioned souls into the womb of material nature, he gave his directions in the Vedic wisdom as to how such conditioned souls can return home back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned souls in material nature are all eager for material enjoyment, but the Vedic directions are so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead, having finished his so-called enjoyment. It is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned souls must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna conscious. Even those who have not followed the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajnas or karmas. Very good. So this verse says, regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifest from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, all consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Well, in Kali Yuga, there's only one sacrifice that can be properly executed, and that's Sankirtan Yajna. But Prabhupada is explaining things in their traditional, let's say, context. But what was practiced in previous times, and it was recommended in previous times, but now because we're in Kali Yuga, there's different, let's say, emphasis is given to Harinam Sankirtan, or chanting of the holy names, rather than the more difficult sacrifices that were performed in previous ages. So this verse says, regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Yeah, it's a fact. So every time you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that's an act of sacrifice. Every time you go on Harinam Sankirtan, that's an act of sacrifice. And the only sacrifice that can be properly performed in this age of Kali Yuga. In Satya Yuga, meditation was recommended. In Dwapara Yuga, and then in the Treta Yuga, there were different things recommended. But in Kali Yuga, what's recommended is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or performance of Sankirtan Yajna. Okay, so if we want to make things difficult, then we will do something that's not recommended specifically for this age. So some people will say, no, you have to meditate. Other people say, no, you have to perform very strict sacrifices, or you have to have very, let's say, opulent types of sacrifices where you spend millions of dollars in burning so much ghee and so forth. But actually, that's not recommended for this age. In this age of Kali, what's recommended is simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with love and devotion for the Lord, and eating only prasadam, and hearing lectures, just like we're hearing lectures every day, morning and evening, of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are different times, and for the specific different times, there are different recommended yagyas to be performed. So at one time, performing very opulent, fire sacrifices was recommended, and at other times there was deep meditation that was recommended, and another time, performing very opulent. Not performing tremendous tapasya was recommended. But in Kali Yuga, what is recommended is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is the Yuga Dharma, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And what Yuga? Kali Yuga. Okay, by understanding the what's said here, after creating or impregnating the conditioned souls into the womb of material nature, he, meaning Krishna, gave his directions in the Vedic wisdom as to how such conditioned souls can return home back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned souls in material nature are all eager for material enjoyment. But the Vedic directions are so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead, having finished this so-called enjoyment. It is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned souls must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna conscious. Even those who have not followed the Vedic injunctions may follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajnas or karmas. Hari bol. So, it's by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, he's made it much easier to become Krishna conscious in the age of Kali Yuga and go back to Godhead and tapasya and things like that. Our tapasya is chanting, dancing, and feasting. That's tapasya. It doesn't sound like tapasya, but it is tapasya. But other people say, no, it's meditating and it's fasting all the time. And so you have these different movements. Like, for example, there are people who think that you have to fast all the time. Right? So, and sometimes you have to fast right up to death. Who is that that does that? I forget the name now.
One time we got one family, they wanted to distribute.
She was fasting for what?
Some particular organization, they fast. Context,
Some roots and
yeah, she's been fasting every day for the last few years, I believe, only on roots and fruits. And then, so that's in order for her to continue to do that sacrifice, they wanted to come to our temple and give everybody, or ask everybody to put a grain, whatever, some grain of something.
to break the fast.
To break the fast or something. So, anyway, so that was just a.
But the people in the temple were not fasting.
Yeah, we reviewed with you, and you said, are they mentioned Krishna anywhere? There is no mention of Krishna. So
that's the litmus test. Is Krishna mentioned anywhere? Right.
There is no mention of Krishna. It is just about how great a woman has been fasting for so many years.
Well, we're very happy. She can continue another 25 lifetimes. You know what that means to be snookered? That's English slang. Snookered means cheated. We follow our Vaishnava Acharyas. We don't follow a lady who's, been fasting on roots.
Cheated.
Huh?
Cheated.
Snookered. Yeah.
Deceived or outmaneuvered.
Yeah. That's not the normal English. It's slang. Yeah. They have slang dictionaries. It's hard enough to learn English. Then people get frustrated, trying to learn the English language. Okay. So, after creating or impregnating the conditioned souls into the womb of material nature, he, meaning Krishna, all such conditioned souls can return home back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned souls in the material nature are all eager for material enjoyment and satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead, having finished his so-called enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
It is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned souls must try to follow the process of those who have not followed the Vedic Krishna injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, yagas, or karmas. Well, basically what Prabhupada is saying is, okay, here's the traditional way to do things, but there is another way, and that's the Krishna conscious way of doing things. And okay, if you want to do it in the traditional way, this is the way you have to do it. But in this age of Kali Yuga, and especially through the teaching of Lord Chaitanya, there's the Krishna conscious way of doing things. And that is refraining from meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, and always chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and eating nice prasadam and going on Sankirtan and hearing lectures from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Krishna conscious way has superseded the traditional way. There are still people who are going to do the traditional way. Right? They're going to try and meditate. They're going to try and fast, this thing, that thing. But devotees, yeah, we have fast days. There's about 30 of them a year. But Shadam, yeah. And therefore, and we have actually fun chanting Hare Krishna, dancing, feasting, and all that without engaging. So when devotees are having a great time dancing and chanting, having nice prasadam, they don't need marijuana, they don't need whiskey, they don't need drugs, they don't need illicit sex or anything like that to have a good time. But when the materialists want to have a good time, well, they open up the wine and the whiskey and begin to do nonsense things. Right? So of being able to follow Krishna consciousness and avoiding all the sinful activities that people normally perform without understanding that they're so sinful. They think that it's normal. I remember when I was a kid, and there would be some celebration. Oh well, they would if they would have a picnic, they would have shish kebab and whiskey and like that. That was the diet. But in fact, I never really liked it because those things are not actually really good for you. They're very bad and they're sinful. At the time, I didn't know that they were sinful, but I didn't really like it, so I never really participated in the whiskey and the beer and all that stuff. You know, the beer for me, it smelled and tasted like urine. But people would say, "Oh, it's good." Yeah, that's great. I avoid drinking it. And the whiskey just would burn my throat. So and that was a big X also. And then the shish kebab. Well, I didn't really like it either. I might have eaten it a little bit, but then I didn't really like it. I was more interested in lemon meringue pie or something like that, but definitely not eating a lot of shish kebab. Some kind of a devotee in my previous life, not to like all those things.
Mhm.
Okay, so therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reaction of the state. One similarly has to work under the direction of the supreme state of the Lord. So now that's a very profound statement. In other words, there's two sets of laws that we have to follow: the laws of the state and the laws established by Krishna and the laws of Sanatan Dharma. Now, this can be confusing to people because we're talking about two actually different states of law. You have the laws of the state, and then you have the laws of the spiritual life. Huh?
Laws of the nature.
Yeah. So we don't learn about these laws of what you would say nature or spiritual life unless we come in contact with genuine devotees and genuine, let's say, spiritual people. The real problems in Kali Yuga is most of the spiritual people are bogus, nonsense people, and they don't teach things properly, and they cause like if you look at Jim Jones, right?
Mm.
He led his people to commit suicide. So how is that good? It can't be good, right? That's nonsense. And there's all kinds of so-called prophets and so-called enlightened people that mislead people. Like what's his name? Kripa,
Kripalu.
Kripalu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a sex maniac. I don't know if you know that or not.
No.
He was having a lot of sex with the young ladies in his movement and his followers. I mean, the inner cycle. They were sex maniacs. There was one of them was here in the United States, and he had to run away after molesting a whole bunch of women. He ran away and hid in India. Right.
The JKU.
What?
Is it Kripalu or Osho Maharaj?
Is it?
No, it's Kripalu. Yeah, yeah.
This is they have
And his followers.
International Society for Love or something like that.
Yeah, no, International Society for International Society for Love or something like that. International Society for something, I don't know, something love, something like that. And these are, I mean, terrible rascals because they completely mislead people, and especially women. They take complete abuse of women in the name of spirituality. In other words, if your daughter or your wife can have sex with Kripalu, now they get the real, let's say, nectar. It's not nectar, it's breaking the neck. It's not nectar. So there are too many rascals around nowadays, and they eventually get caught. And finally, people just get disgusted and frustrated with all these charismatic persons, and they just don't believe in spiritual life. The cheaters make spiritual life. They don't want to have anything to do with these so-called enlightened personalities. Okay, so what does it say? You found something?
There have been allegations of sexual misconduct in Trinidad and Tobago. on charges of rape, but later was acquitted due to insufficient evidence. Additionally, there were other, although none of them led to conviction. It is important to note that such allegations are serious and can deeply affect individuals and organizations associated with spiritual leadership. Maintained a large following. The accusations created controversy around his legacy.
No, because the way they would get out of it, they say, well, it was consensual between two adults. That's the way they get out of it. You know.
So now there is a follower. What's his name? JK, who started it? Follower started Jagadguru Kripaluji Yog. That's JK Yog. Oh yeah, Swami Mukundananda.
He's still around.
He's still around. He was both IIT, IIM, all those things. So he's using his. Apparently, it's growing really well. At least they were doing a lot of advertisements on YouTube at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen his advertisements. And I've heard him speaking. It makes spiritual life very difficult because they are committing all kinds of sinful activities in the name of religion, and it just gives a bad. So
They claim, or at least according to the Swami Mukundananda, he claims this Krupalaji was the next incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So there is a.
And why did he molest women?
Maharaj, there is Swami Kripalu is different from Amrit Desai, who is Swami Kripalu's disciple. Who is that? Amrit Desai is the one who started this Kripalu yoga and then.
Kripalu also.
Oh yeah, even he was.
Yeah.
Amrit Desai.
No, a bunch of his followers, a bunch of seducing women in the name of spirituality. So, but others also in his movement. Okay. So, are there any questions anyone would like to ask? So tonight's take. Okay, go ahead.
Small clarification. In the last line, it says the last two words basically that even those who have not followed the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yagnas or karmas. So there are equal things for us, Vedic yagnas or the karmas. Karmas are again divided, right? Like a karma, the karma.
Basically, look, Prabhupada gives the traditional way, that Vedic traditional way, yagyas, and all that way at the end. So what he's practically saying is, look, you don't have to do all those traditional, and ask his followers to do those things. He asks them to always chant Hare Krishna and follow the regulative principles. So we're followers of Lord Chaitanya. We're not followers of the traditional way that all the yagyas and different ceremonies that you perform. Even today, like even our so-called pundits that we have, I mean, they're saying all these, but that's that's somewhat traditional, but actually it's not necessary. If you just chant the Hare Krishna mantra and follow the regulative principles, right? But if you just focus on all those different mantras, you oftentimes don't see. But why? Because number one, most people don't understand what the mantras say, and in Hare Krishna to Radharani, Krishna is referring to Krishna, and Rama is referring again to Krishna or the Supreme Personality God, Rama. And it's very simple. It's purifying. But chanting all these other mantras, first of all, you don't understand what's being said. Not everybody. There are some people that know, but most people don't. And after the ceremony is over, you go back to whatever you were doing before. Yeah, so we should stick to Lord Chaitanya's program, and we should understand that just by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, all the things that you want to achieve through what was recommended previously, you attain simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Like Haridas Thakur, he only is on his level, and he's a Muslim. He was born a Muslim, and he became the what do you call it? The Lama Acharya, the Acharya of the holy name, right? So, hats off to Haridas Thakur, and he was really a very serious follower of Lord Chaitanya. And how did he achieve such a high level? He always chanted Hare Krishna. He understood. So we should also try and understand the power and the glory of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You don't need any other mantra. That's why it's called Maha Mantra, the great mantra, or the most exalted mantra of all mantras. Now, there's millions of different mantras, the greatest. So take the best and leave the rest. Take the best and leave the rest. That's our motto. Take the best and leave the rest. Okay.
Are we also ending with a kirtan? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's nice. That's very nice, my dear friends.
You all can join the online kirtan party.
Haribol. Okay. Prabhuji, you want to lead? Go ahead, you lead.
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Gadadhara Shiva Saribor Bhakta
Jaya Sri Radha Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi
Jaya Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta
Jayoti Nathai Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Bhakta Vrinda
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Jai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Jai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Guru
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Wow. Go make food. Thank you.
Hari Bol. We will end the session for today. See you in the morning. Hare Krishna.